Let's talk about match preparations. I know that a lot of young goalkeepers, especially, struggle with knowing what to do before a game starts. And in the preparation phase, it's all about getting yourself in the best possible state, getting your mind right, focused on what's important, and really preparing your body in the most optimal way for you to perform. And to do that, the answer is quite different for different players. Some have religious beliefs almost that they have to do a certain thing a certain way every single time at a certain point of time before the game. They have to eat exactly the same thing, and that's one way to do it. I call that a religious approach to preparation. Then the complete opposite part or opposite method is having non strict rules towards your preparation, meaning that you do kind of anything at any time. You don't have any setup. You don't have any certain time or structure that you follow. You just go the way the day goes, and you just go with the flow, basically. I think the most optimal sequence for most people and most goalies will be somewhere in between. Not the fully strict way, but also not the completely loosened up and non-structured way. I'll tell you first what my personal routine looks like, and then I'll transition into opening up about a few ideas that might help you. Because personally, I'm leaning more towards the non-strict preparation, mainly because I don't like to have, I think it's called contingencies, which basically means things that are tied to my performance. The more things that I have tied towards a good performance, like I need to get X amount of sleep and I need to eat X type of food this and that time before the game. I need to do a certain body preparation. I need to uh, whatever it is. There can be 100 things. I need to use this boxer shorts. If not, I'm not gonna play well. All those things in my head are things that are good for some, but to some degree. Because if you have too many of them, which is what I don't like, it becomes a requirement for optimized performance. And I like to think about it in the way that I can perform no matter my circumstance. And if that is a truth for me, then I need as few things tied to a good performance as possible. So in order for me to recreate a good performance, I don't need any certain indicators. But of course, that doesn't mean that, oh, if I get 0 hours of sleep and I eat only junk food before the game, will my performance be optimized? Of course not. But it's just that I don't like to tie my good performances to a certain routine in too much of a degree. What I do like to tie it to is the sort of like non-specific things, which is a good night of sleep. It doesn't have to be 10 hours. It doesn't have to be 9 hours. It's more like I feel good. I slept good and I got enough sleep. Then second thing is that I like to eat about 2 to 3 hours before the game starts. That way I don't feel too full when the game starts, but I'm also not hungry. That's the second thing. I need to have all my equipment in place, meaning my gloves, shin pads, jersey, and my underlayers, all that. That's a pretty like easy one. And then third or fourth here would be to be social, especially the day before the game. Just be active, be social, talk to people, and to be around my friends, my family. That way I kind of like loosen up a bit and I don't feel so worried or anxious about the game, which I might do a bit more if I'm sort of super strict the day before and I'm not able to relax and just switch off my mind a bit. So that's kind of what I do. Get enough sleep, eat some good food, um, carbs, protein, all that good stuff in before the game. And yeah, get a good night of sleep. Except from that, it's more about, for me, just switching off, being social, being active, not sitting on my ass, just relaxing the whole day, but sort of like being semi-active, maybe playing around a golf, doing something that's just gets me going and keeps me in motion. What I think about when I want to give you advice for how you can prepare better, I would tell you first of all to explore. Because if you want to figure out what works for you, you really need to test out several different things. You need to test out a strict routine. You need to test out a very loose routine. And maybe you go somewhere in between where you're strict on certain things that you know are requirements for your performance, that you really feel good about increasing your performance ability. And then maybe there are other things that you kind of think like, and it didn't really affect me that much, so I'm not gonna give too much into this. For example, I don't have to eat that type of meal or like a specific meal before every game. You don't have to, maybe, if it doesn't sort of impact your performance too much. And then I would continue to say that after you explore, it's very important that you reflect. Because if you just explore and try different things, but you don't look back and actually take notice and plot down for yourself what were the things that you felt really increased your performance, then the chance of you being able to recreate what was good and eliminate what was bad is low. You want to increase the chance of you being able to recreate good performances. And therefore, you need to note those things that work for you. Because those things that worked, will you keep doing? But if you don't remember them, it's very hard for you to keep doing them. Therefore, make a simple and easy sheet that says good performance indicators and negative performance indicators. And then you have a third sheet that creates your routine. So I would just write this down on a page if I were you. Good performance indicators, bad performance indicators, and then my pre-game routine. So then you have 3 slides basically. Then after every single time you make a switch in your routine, for example, you try to eat pasta before a game, and then you try to eat rice and chicken a different game, and then you eat salmon a different game. You tie those things and you kind of look, did I perform well? Did I feel good? Was this something that helped me or didn't help me? And you either put them in the positive box or the negative box. Eventually, you will have a list of all the positive things that you feel like helps you. And that can be several things just for eating food. For example, it can be both salmon is good, both pasta is good, rice can be good. That sort of opens up your, call it your inventory towards your routine, because then you can use all of them. It doesn't matter which one you use particularly, if they all make you feel good. And maybe another thing that you note on sleep is that sleeping away at a friend's place or sleeping over at my grandma's place, that was a bad performance indicator because I maybe relaxed too much and it was a bit too chill. Maybe that's a point for you to take in and say, hey, pre-game, the day before a match, I'm going to try not to sleep away from home because I feel better when I sleep at home. And then, of course, you put sleeping at home as a good performance indicator. Once you've done this, you will have a long list on both negative and positive performance indicators. Then what you're going to do is that you're going to take the most positive indicators, those that you like the most, those that really stood out for you. You don't need to take them all, and you're going to just plot them into your routine. For example, for me, like I told you earlier, it would only be probably 4 things. Being social the day before the game. It would be eat 2 to 3 hours before my game, on game day. It would be to get a good night of sleep. I would say a good night is anywhere between 7 and 10 hours for me. So 7 to 10 hours of sleep. And last thing, I would say prepare all my items and necessities that I need to bring to the game before I travel. That means just checking off my list of all the equipment, all the gear I need, so that doesn't stress me out on game day, so I don't have to worry about it. And that's a very simple list. It might sound like it's not a lot, and it's because it is. I don't like to have so many things tied to a good performance, like I mentioned. So maybe you're the same way. Maybe there's only a few things on your list, or there might be several more. You might have 10, 15 different requirements for a good performance on your side. So because of that, now you've sort of explored, you plotted down the things that worked, those things that didn't work, you created your own routine, with the things that work the best for you. And before a game, now you can just look at your list, remind yourself, what are the things that makes me feel better, perform better, and do better over time? And go back to that over and over again. One last advice I would say is that when you have the list, when you have your routine in place and you sort of know what to do, it's easy to get stuck and just do the same thing over and over again and just keep doing that. And to a degree, I would say that's positive because you recreate good performances. But don't be afraid of exploring more. Sometimes we might think that what we've done for a while, which works, is the best. That's not necessarily the truth. Sometimes it's good to explore a new thing here or there to really just try to optimize your routine over time. For example, I used to have more things tied to my list, and then I explored just sort of removing a few items. Like I used to have a requirement to drink an energy drink. And then, I just tried to go without it and see how that worked. And it worked just as well. And with me actually doing that sort of exploring, I just figured out that, that's not a requirement for a good performance. And therefore I can remove it from my list, which is a very good thing, right? Because now I have one thing less of a requirement for me to perform. That's pretty much all. I think if you implement this type of routine, this type of action plan, as a reminder, positive actions, negative actions, and your pre-game routine. 3 slots, fill them in after you explore several different ways of preparing yourself. And then at the end of the day, once you've done this for a while, maybe you've done it for a month throughout 6, 7, 8 games, then you'll have your list of indications of positive and negatives. Create your own routine with the most essential requirements, and then you go off of that. Once you have them all in place, stick to your routine, but don't be afraid to explore new stuff after a while to just open up your capacity to perform even better and more consistent. I hope this helped with creating a better pre-game routine for you, and I wish you the best of luck in your upcoming games. Talk soon. I'm on my way to a game now, so it fits right into the plan to talk about preparations, because that's what I've been doing now the last day or so. Best of luck with the upcoming games, and I wish you good luck with creating your own pre-game routine.